When you're an artist and if you have something that you strongly believe in, it could either be a book, a movie, or a potential series for TV or online, or even a song, a painting, or a sculpture, whatnot. And that idea has been imprinted to your mind since as long as you can remember. The main idea is for you to go forward and keep doing what you're doing until you can make it happen. And this is the case for me. Hi, I'm Daniel Caraballo, and welcome to the first video journal for Little Angel. I guess, God, you know what, as I quote Alice, is basically to begin at the beginning is to start at the end. But in this case, it's just to start. Precisely. And this actually begins in, 2007. I was in high school, and like most of the people in my department I was in, we had a infatuation with live theater. That was the thing that we wanted to do, what we loved doing. And I was a very odd little boy. So I didn't really fit in with the crowd like most teenagers or kids in general would. I just kind of like stood out there like a sore nail, so hey. And before that, I was in high school in South Florida, and before that I was living in New Jersey, and for me, in New Jersey, that was like 30 minutes away to New York City, and I was exposed to musical theater. I mean, living in New Jersey, you cannot escape from it, even if you liked it or not. You just can't escape without seeing some kind of a billboard or a wonderful television advertisement. You just couldn't. It was there, they were promoting it, and my God, something about it just triggered me. And fast forward in 2007, I started doing drama. I mean, I was a chorus boy, then I did drama. Before that, I did art, and I wasn't so fond of it. I mean, I see it as a hobby, but not as a career term. So it's just something about live theater that had captured my imagination. The fact is that you could tell any kind of story to an audience 5 to 8 times a week, and it's all live. Just the idea of that is right in front of you. No cuts, no takes, no CGI or stop motion, whatever. It was just there, and that just left me in awestruck completely. And I had this hobby when I was a little boy. Like, I would write scripts. That was what I knew I wanted to do, was to write, because my mother and my other family members, and they will still say it, you have an overreacting, overactive, whatever you would call it. You just have a large amount of imagination, and I just took that freely. And so I would write these little mocked up plays, and sometimes it could be very lyrical, but maybe in a child, I know they were not good. Oh my God, looking back at it. I'm not gonna tell you what kind of stories I have wrote, but they were just not that good. They could have been easily been rejected right off the spot. And then I had 2 ideas. One was a graphic novel idea, and that involved with a little rag doll going under the bed of his owner to this nightmarish fantasy land where he has to overcome a boogeyman. And then the other one was kind of similar, but it was that of a reluctant everyday loser. And the two ideas was, the graphic novel was called, just plain called Little Angel. And the play idea was this 60-minute chunk opera, very intimate play called Mirage. And it didn't work out too well. It didn't work out too well, and I just didn't felt something was off. Something was missing during the whole process of it. And then, as a Christmas gift from my aunt, because she came to visit on that 2007, I believe, and she surprised me with this book that I still owned. And it was a very fascinating book. It really captured my attention. It was called Not Since Carrie, 40 Years of Broadway Flops. So it was on the subject of Carrie the musical and other disasters that had crashed and burned on Broadway. And there was this one chapter that really stuck to me, and it was playing homage to the Lucy writes a novel episode from the I Love Lucy series, and the chapter was called Don't Let This Happen to You. And there was this one topic of this one musical that really captured my attention. It was produced in Albany, New York in 1984 by the now defunct Empire State Institute for the Performing Arts. Patricia Snyder produced it at the time with CBS, and Joe Raposo, known for Sesame Street, had written the music and lyrics, which he did before for an anime feature of that topic. And the Miracle Worker playwright William Gibson actually wrote the book, and that show was called Raggedy Ann, the musical adventure. And or in this case, Rag Dolly. And my God, the stuff that I was reading about, the only thing I could say was, this was a kids show? This was a kids show. But clearly the parents got to the A game and it flopped within 5 performance. But it just stuck with me. It just stuck with me because just the idea of creating a Brothers Grimm style adventure with this iconic childhood doll, and clearly there must have been some kind of passion for the writers and the Isiba, that's what they call it for short, to mount that kind of show. And I heard the demos, I heard the audio recording from one of the live shows, which was a real treat. And I saw some of the visuals from a documentary that the Raggedy Ann actress Irene Austin had posted. And my God, it was something else. But I looked at Mirage and the Little Angel concept, and I'm like, can I morph that? Can I morph that into a play? Into its own thing? But at the same time, not only was I inspired by Joe Raposo's Rag Dolly, Joe Raposo and William Gibson's Rag Dolly, the Raggedy Ann Adventure, as is appropriately called since 1984 in the SIBA. They just changed the Raggedy Ann in Broadway. But anyways, it was that stuck to me. And when I was exposed to live theater, you gotta remember, when I was born in the era of the big budget musicals, like Cats, Les Miserables, Phantom of the Opera, Miss Saigon. And then when I was growing up into like a little child, Disney had put their weight in on Times Square, 42nd and 45th Street. I mean, I remember so well when Beauty and the Beast was getting ready to take its bow on Broadway. That was mass publicity campaign, like no tomorrow. And then, of course, I got my first exposure to Frank Wildhorn, a composer that I deeply admire. Self-taught, something that I am. And it was a preview for his very first Broadway show, Jekyll and Hyde. And I'm like, wow, I want to see that. And obviously I couldn't because of the subject matter. But that was the era I exposed. So when I started writing Little Angel, I wanted to be earnest. I wanted to do a musical spectacle, but I wanted to be inspired also. And I wanted to create something that could merge without being so, excuse me for saying this, but so schizophrenic. Oh my god, I do apologize. But I wanted to do something like that. And my other influence was the 1975 musical The Wiz, taking an iconic American novel, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, and making it into a contemporary fairy tale, one that a diverse community could actually relate to. That just captivated me. And I was very seduced by the visual stylings of Jeffrey Holder with his costumes, and the very hypnotic set design by Tommy John. Oh wow, that was a big influence. And then of course when I was in my preteen years, a little show called Wicked had opened, and we know how that turned out. And then when I began writing Little Angel, all the lyrics I had written were still like these hunky-dory, dorky, like, imagine, like the orchestra would be like play school toy instruments that you would see at the daycare center. Not idealistic, looking back at it now. And, it was kind of like in that styling. Then 2009, Frank Wildhorn was added again, this time in Florida where I was living. And he did a show that was based on one of my favorite topics. And the other thing that people don't know me is I have a strong infatuation with not only with L. Frank Baum, but with like Hans Christian Andersen, the Brothers Grimm, and Roald Dahl, but mainly Lewis Carroll. Like so many people in the world that actually picks up a book and read. I was seduced by his book series, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland Through the Looking Glass. And I actually used that inspiration. Apparently that came with Frank because Wonderland opened in Florida. And I'm like, wow. I know it wasn't a success, but something about it that just talked to me. And I started listening to like other musical styles, not just Frank Wildhorn, but like the composer for A Tale of Two Cities, Lynn Arians and Stephen Farrelly, Andrew Lloyd Webber, those type of composers, and of course Alain Boublil and Claude Michel Schumberg, like just that style. And I'm like, I think I got it with Little Angel. So the idea of it had expanded from a 60-minute junk opera to a 2-hour spectacle. That means the characters were expanded. The characters were changed, drastically different from Mirage. Little Angel was that everyday loser. He got turned into Little Angel. And the boogeyman is the main villain. And his childhood imaginary friends, which are his old childhood toys, are his allies. And I put contemporary twists onto familiar characters. Mother Goose and Father Time. And my idea was, what if Mother Goose wasn't what most people depict her? What if she was this beautiful woman that she doesn't wear a traditional frock. She will wear a beautiful gown that is in representing a swan and less than a goose. And as a nod to the whole nursery rhyme thing, while taking it so literal, what if she had a grand palace and it would have the text of the nursery rhymes and classic illustrations represented as tapestries? And what if Father Time was a very laid-back man, that his clock world is actually like a clockwork factory, but let's say his clock workers, their work uniforms are high couture fashion, and they're very snooty and pompous, and Father Time himself is this jazzy, laid-back, Motown-loving, cool kind of guy, and they're so take pride in themselves because they actually know how to control time. So that's what it was. It was like that. So that was the idea. And what if the boogeyman is actually, he could take up any form of every nightmare? I mean, it's done before. But what if he could be like the polar opposite of our hero? What if he was terrifying but handsome at the same time and taller? So that was the idea. And in terms of musical stylings, I'm a sucker for ballads, and Little Angel Alda has like these ballads that I have written and these duets, and then for the ensemble numbers I want to make them fun. Like there's one number called Trippy Daydreamer, which is like this pop rock, and I guess you could say it's like a homage to like those corny pop rock style music that you hear in the late 90s and early 2000s. And also like there's a ball number, and it's just this big, lively, upbeat number, and in the middle of it could become a waltz, and then it gets back into high gear again. So that was the idea. And I had written 2 drafts of that version, of the first 2 versions, and they're handwritten because I want to make sure what to do. And I had a couple people to read it. They liked it, but there was no plot. Little Angel did not have a plot just yet. And me, I was very idealistic at the time. So I kind of had this image in my head like, oh, they just don't get it, they just don't get it. And then I realized that maybe they're alright. So that's when I start like doing the draft on the computer. And when I start typing it, it pretty much was shaping even more and more and more. And at the time, I got very confident of what I wrote. I got highly confident of what I wrote. So I sent it to a producer. He was based in South Florida, but he took shows to New York. So I went to him. And he actually responded. He actually responded, and I wasn't expecting him to respond. I wasn't. But he did, and he said, I like what you're doing. Your material has potential, but I cannot do this. This is why. The plot was still muddled, so I kept working and working and working until like we had something, and it was the same result. Like, the script was getting better, but at the same time, the targeted audience that I wanted wasn't idealistic for them. What they saw, most of the theater companies and the regional producers I sent the script out to, the kind of show that was being taken shape was not the kind of show they wanted to see. It was very dark, it was very broody, and looking back at it, it was a very heavy play. And at times, it could have been very nightmarish. So, I took a break. I took a break because I was getting ready to move out of Florida to get a couple of things in my personal life that needed to be situated. So, basically, I took a hiatus. A complete hiatus. And then when I got that situation then settled, I went back to work. And at that time, it was actually last year, 2015, and my God, it became a different story. This new script, and this is the 8th draft I have written, and it was just well balanced. It could have been fun, it could have been emotional, it could have been awestruck, and it could have been scary at the same time. It was so well balanced, and I'm like, this is the kind of family shows that are getting praises. So I'm like, this is it. This is what needs to be done. And my God, I had a lot of hard experiences with Little Angel. And the thing about it is, when I know, and like any other artist, they should know it. If they know they have something special, something that they know is going to be amazing, keep going until it happens. And I know with this play, there is something amazing going on. That's why I haven't given up on it. That's why. Because I put so much of my life into it. And that character is basically another me. That's how I see Little Angel. My feelings, my emotions, my dilemmas, my imagination, the kind of songs I wanted to sing. And by me listening and me learning more and more as I'm developing this, it is becoming something so special. And I don't know what it is. I just had that feeling. That something special is going to come out of it right when I least expect it. And to me, that is just awesome.